This week, it's time to take a detailed look at the big next-gen console releases, with both Microsoft and Sony taking the wraps off their new hardware. But before you get too comfortable in the future, time to step back in time. Jimmy has a bit to say about the year that was 1996. This is Player Attack. But first, the latest gaming news, and other than the consoles, there were some other big announcements this week. Sony headed to Silverstone in the UK to celebrate Gran Turismo's 15th anniversary. And just as we suspected, there was a special surprise. Gran Turismo 6 headed our way by the end of the year. As anticipated, the latest rendition will bring new levels of authenticity to the real driving simulator, new tracks, new cars, a new user interface, and all of these bits and pieces add up to more than 1,200 vehicles available at launch. That is, all of the ones from GT5 plus the newies. There are 33 total tracks and 71 different layouts, as well as some pretty serious hints at even more coming in post-launch DLC. Now that's all stuff that we figured would probably happen. Something that we didn't expect was the platform that this racer would launch on. PlayStation 4? Think again. This one is a PlayStation 3 exclusive, promising a European launch by the end of 2013. Australian fans can breathe a sigh of relief. That new R18 rating was introduced at well and truly the right time. The Last of Us deemed unsuitable for children thanks to high impact violence as well as strong impact horror and adult themes. Somewhat more surprising, Suda51's controversial Japanese soap opera effort Killer is Dead, which seemed to be packed with sex, drugs and violence, has picked up an MA15+. Not bad for a game about a man with a machine gun for a hand and magical glasses that lets him see through ladies' clothing. And on to something completely different, EA studio DICE has opened a new studio in Los Angeles, where the developer will be hiring from the same talent pool as Activision rivals Treyarch and Infinity Ward. The new studio follows in the wake of EA announcing that a new title from the Battlefield developer would be on display at E3 this year, so now we're faced with a quandary. Is the new studio working on the long-awaited Mirror's Edge sequel, a new Star Wars interpretation, or something else entirely? EA is also red-faced over the leak of a bunch of SimCity information outlining the city builder's first batch of paid DLC. The official statement from the publisher is short and sweet. Some of you may have seen thrilling new SimCity content that arrived too early at the gate. It's coming May 28th. We think you'll be amused. That is a less than subtle hint to the theme of the new update, in case you missed it. More info on that one next week. Also getting new paid content is Where's My Water for iOS and Android. The new level pack for Disney Mobile's smash hit will set you back less than $1 and you will get 40 new levels containing an entirely new playstyle. Ali, Swampy's lady friend, has joined in the fun, and while Swampy is all about needing water for his shower, Ali mixes things up a bit and needs steam to play her musical instruments. It's out right now, but if you're the kind who likes to try before you buy, there are 5 free levels available for existing players too. From the very small screen to the silver screen, and filming has officially started on the Need for Speed adaptation, with crews descending on the town of Macon, Georgia. Breaking Bad star Aaron Paul plays Toby Marshall, a street racer with a massive bounty on his head. Somewhat predictably, the young rebel is out for revenge against the man who put it there, Beetlejuice himself, Michael Keaton. The storyline isn't based on any one particular game, but rather the entire Need for Speed franchise, and it takes some inspiration from the classic car culture films of the 70s. Filming is set to disrupt city traffic for a while, with commuters more than a little bit frustrated by road closures surrounding the Fountain Car Wash. Warner Brothers is also jumping on the awesome game announcement train, with the draw-your-own excitement of Scribblenauts getting a little hand from some classic comic characters.
The world needs your help, so it's up to you to guide Maxwell and the world's finest superheroes on an heroic journey against the universe's deadliest villains.
Scribblenauts Unmasked promises thousands of DC Comics bits and pieces. 2,000 of those will be characters. There are more than 30 different Batmans and 130 different Green Lanterns. Developer Fifth Cell explained that every character seen to date in a DC published comic is creatable in-game, and they can be used to help or hinder Maxwell's quest. We've seen no release date for this one just yet, but it has been confirmed that Scribblenauts Unmasked will be on show at E3 next month, so we will have all the details for you direct from the show floor. And finally this week, a blast from the past for gamers of a certain age. 20 years ago, the Incredible Machine gave gamers a bunch of tools and simply told them to make something amazing. These days, 3 of the developers behind the original game, including pixel artist Brian Hahn, have teamed up with some mates to form new developer Spotkin, and this week we saw their debut title, the familiar-looking Contraption Maker. So far, it seems to be everything we would expect: higher quality graphics, more fun puzzles, and a super beefed up sandbox mode. You can even share your machine's solutions and creations online. An early access program for Contraption Maker will kick off in the next few months, with release expected sometime this year for both Windows and Mac. For more details and to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
Since the big Sony reveal in February, we now have some solid ideas about what the PlayStation 4 has to offer. Sony wants to put the gamer in the centre of the platform experience, and there are already plenty of details on hardware, software, network, and social capabilities for us to get really excited about.
We believe that PlayStation 4 represents a significant shift from thinking of PlayStation as merely a box or a console to thinking of PlayStation as a leading authority on play. For gamers around the world, PlayStation is the best place to play.
First, the tech. Sony has confirmed that the PS4 will use what they call a supercharged PC design. Expect 8GB of DDR5 RAM and an x86 AMD Jaguar architecture with combined GPU and CPU. Basically, this means that the technology of the PS4 will be more like a PC, though still not even close nor as expensive as current top-end PC hardware. This hardware powers an instant on feature, which means no more waiting for boot up, and you can switch off the system and then instantly pick up where you left off in the middle of your game. It also means that decent ports from PC games will be easier and more likely, and the extra grunt should allow for outstanding graphics and improved AI. A real bonus is that updates and downloads can run in the background, dispensing with that annoying wait for the download experience before being able to play a game. Even more excitingly, we'll even be able to start playing a game before the download has completed. Sony remains committed to Blu-ray, but the PS4 has tripled the disc read speed of the PS3, and this will add to that faster game installation. The usual DVD, Ethernet, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and output options are available, including some 4K capabilities. The DualShock 4 controller, which is the only thing we've actually seen from the PS4 to date, looks quite similar to the old one. Controls are tightened up, and setting down the controller will no longer depress the trigger button, meaning no unintended fast-forwarding of film. Sony has added a touchpad to the front of the controller, and there's also a speaker and headphone socket built right in. The big change to the controller is the share button, which allows you to share a snippet of gameplay up to a few minutes long, since the hardware allows for the ongoing storage of gameplay footage. In terms of software, for Sony, it's all about the games. We've seen several announcements already, but I'm particularly looking forward to Watch Dogs, Destiny, and Assassin's Creed 4. We can expect more game reveals at E3 coming up soon, but one thing is for sure, Sony will need a good spread of launch titles to make an immediate impact. Many of the launch titles will also be available on the PS3, so there'll be some crossover for a while, and it'll probably take a couple of years for the full potential of the system to be realised by developers. A pretty disappointing announcement for many was the lack of native backwards compatibility for the PS4, meaning that we can't just play older PlayStation games out of the gate. This unfortunately just comes with the territory of a redesigned hardware architecture. However, with Sony's acquisition of cloud gaming service Gaikai, there are rumours that PS1 to PS3 games will be available through streaming or emulators. The jury is still out on DRM or digital rights management, meaning that Sony may still build in features that make it impossible or difficult to play used games. Whether or not this comes into play might be in the hands of publishers, but retailers and consumers are likely to revolt if that level of DRM becomes standard, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. In line with its play, create, share motto, Sony is enhancing the social and network features of its new system. In addition to the instant share button, there will be deep Facebook integration, meaning that you can post not only achievements but gameplay sequences to your Facebook account. It'll also be possible to use real names online, meaning that you don't need to remember which of your friends is Hardcore Sniper 96. The new social integration features will also allow you to spectate on your friends' live gaming experiences or even take them over altogether. This has huge potential for the growing esports market, and the control your friends game mechanic may have some very innovative applications for smart game designers. We don't yet know a price point, and we don't know what the PS4 actually looks like, but the minimal design refinements on the controller suggest that we can expect a similar sleek black design, perhaps a bit more rounded around the edges. We do have a holiday season release date for the US and Japan, meaning probably November, but we don't know how that will translate to the Australian market. So here's hoping we don't have to wait until after Christmas. All up, although there's a lot we don't know, we can still get pretty excited about the PlayStation 4. Can't wait to get my hands on one.
After months of speculation, a year of rumours and more than a few weeks of mistaken reveals, Microsoft has announced the Xbox One, due out around the world later this year.
Team Xbox is on a new mission. Design and build an all-in-one system to light up a new generation of games, TV, and entertainment. It must be built for the future with hardware, software, and services that put you at the center. And at its very core, it must be simple, instant, and complete. We believe we can evolve what you love to make it decidedly better and deliver breakthrough innovations. So, it's time for technology to step behind the curtain and for you and your entertainment to take center stage. Today, we're thrilled to unveil the ultimate all-in-one home entertainment system. The one with the power to create experiences that look and feel like nothing else. The one that makes your TV more intelligent. The one system for a new generation. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Xbox One.
We've got an 8-core CPU with 8GB of RAM powering not one but 3 operating systems. It's a combination of new AMD-based Xbox architecture, a Windows-based kernel, and another bridging system that makes sure that everything works together. The new 500GB hard drive is built into the device. You can't change that, but you can attach an additional external hard drive. We're also looking at wireless internet, HDMI in and out, USB 3, and, wait for it, a Blu-ray drive. Mind you, we do mean looking at. Microsoft went all out on this reveal, showing us exactly what the console will look like, as well as the new look controller and the new style Kinect peripheral. The Xbox One laughs in the face of rumours that Microsoft would shy away from the classic black box design, but it also laughs in the face of rumours that the new design would be sleeker and smaller. This thing? Neither. As many had suspected, Kinect is a crucial part of this new console. The sensor has now been revamped to support 1080p video at 30 frames a second, and its field of view is 60% wider than the Xbox 360 model. All of this means you can use your Kinect in the dark, and the increased technology means it can tell people apart more easily, detect differences in balance, and it is sensitive enough now to detect and measure your heartbeat while you're gaming. Of course, as well as using Kinect to play games, Microsoft has announced that you will need to use the peripheral to control the console itself with simple swipes and voice commands. It does get a little bit Minority Report, but as long as it works as well as promised, Microsoft assures us that it will make your new Xbox One able to replace most of the other devices in your living room. The new controller looks fairly similar to the one that we're using with the 360, but it packs in more than 40 new design features. It's a little bit less boomerang shaped now, and that circular dual button has been moved out of the central area, which should make it less likely to be accidentally hit mid-game. The big differences see some enhanced ergonomics to make the thing more comfortable. There's dynamic impulse triggers with built-in rumble motors that can be directly programmed by developers, an integrated removable battery compartment, and a newly designed precision directional pad. On top of all of that, the redesigned analog sticks now feature a new grippier finish, which should make things even easier to control. In terms of games that you can actually play on the Xbox One, Microsoft took a very different approach than one that gamers were anticipating. The presentation focused almost entirely on the hardware, the technology, and what it will do for you in your living room. Game details are coming in a few weeks at the Microsoft pre-E3 media briefing on June 10th, but the publisher has confirmed more than 15 exclusive first-party Xbox One games in the first 12 months of release, 8 of which will be brand new franchises. The only new title revealed to date is an intriguing project from Alan Wake developer Remedy. We didn't get to see much gameplay from Quantum Break, but the cinematic live-action cutscenes have set the scene for something pretty interesting. And that said, we have found out about an Xbox One version of Forza 5, as well as a stack of EA Sports titles, including Madden 25, FIFA 14, NBA Live, and the first of EA's UFC titles. There's also Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed 4, The New Thief, Battlefield 4, and Bungie's upcoming Destiny, but the big software reveal for the console belongs to Call of Duty Ghosts.
It's been 10 years. You start to forget the things you should remember. And you can't stop remembering the things you should forget. We've always had the power. Not anymore. All we have is each other. We're ghosts, fighting for something that can't be killed.
Everybody was asking the same few questions before Microsoft took the floor, and while we didn't necessarily get final answers on all of the hot topics, we do now have a better idea of what's going on. The Xbox One does not require an always-on internet connection. Instead, it will use a service similar to Steam, which sees the console connect to the internet, check for updates, sort out your recent purchases, achievements, and other data, and then load up the game. If you are engaging in a bit of single player, chances are you will be able to play offline after this one-off check. Of course, if you are playing multiplayer, you will still need an internet connection. The Xbox One does not feature backwards compatibility with Xbox or Xbox 360 titles. The improved back-end architecture means that the new games use a completely different structure to previous titles, and alas, the two are incompatible. This isn't limited to your on-disc collection either. All Xbox Live Arcade and downloadable titles are stuck with the same problem. It is, in fact, the same situation as we're seeing with the PlayStation 4, for the same reason. Whether or not Microsoft dedicates any time to creating a software emulator or downloadable versions of early titles remains to be seen. But for now, we figured that, starting next year, your Xbox 360 will become a relic. The Xbox One does allow for instant switching between applications, meaning that you can jump in and out of games, TV shows, or Skype conversations without missing a beat. There is also Snap Mode, which launches a second window onto your screen. While you're watching sports or a movie, your Xbox One can display a web browser or social media window off to one side in a sort of modernised picture-in-picture mode. If that movie actor seems familiar but you're not quite sure where you've seen him before, just snap up an IMDb window and look up his filmography, all without needing to leave your seat. The Xbox One does allow you to install your video games in the background while you're playing. Just pop in the disc, start playing, and all of the relevant bits will load directly onto your hard drive where they belong. Related to this, once you've installed your game, you will be able to play it without needing the disc copy. But this is where things get a little bit murky as we get into the never-ending second-hand games debate. You will not be able to install your game and then sell your disc copy. Each game will have a unique ID of some kind, which will be linked directly to your Xbox account. Nobody else can install that copy of that game without you somehow disassociating it, which then would presumably lock you out of playing that copy. So what this does mean is that you can install a game on your Xbox, head to a mate's place, log into their Xbox, and install the game on their console, either by using the physical disc or by downloading the game again from the internet. The problem is they won't be able to play it unless you're there, or if they've been able to log into your account. And remember, simultaneous logins are a pretty direct route to a banning. The official statement from Microsoft on all of this, believe it or not, is we'll get into specifics later. While we like what we've seen so far, there are still plenty of questions left swirling around the Xbox One, so we're really hoping for some clarity in a few weeks at E3, ahead of the Xbox One launch before the end of 2013.
Jimmy the Geek here in 1996. The big news this year, Nintendo have brought their new console system to the market. Formerly Project Dolphin, the Nintendo 64 is one of the more unique consoles of this generation. Boasting 4 MB of RAM, the fastest processor of this generation, and a bizarre looking controller that includes an analog stick and the option to include a force feedback module. In somewhat of a risky move, Nintendo have avoided CDs, claiming long load times as a major concern. Sticking with the cartridge medium has allegedly turned off RPG developer Squaresoft, who are now looking at a licensing deal with Sony. Not being one to rest on their laurels, Nintendo with Rare have released the third in their massively popular Donkey Kong Country franchise. The original, which thrust Donkey Kong back into the public eye with its great gameplay and stunning graphics back in 1994, is still proving quite the cash cow for both companies. In this third chapter, Dixie and Kiddy Kong are looking for Donkey and Diddy, who've gone missing after a fishing trip. The game also features less of the pirate theme of the previous game, replacing it with an almost technological feel. The Sega Saturn is also being kept alive despite currently being the other system in the market at the moment. The success of its Nights into Dreams have led another franchise to choose it as its debut carrier. The new game from Eidos Entertainment features a sweeping, swashbuckling story and revolves around solving puzzles in a 3D environment, made up of dreary caves and tombs. The game also features a female protagonist who goes by the name of Lara. Tomb Raider is expected to be ported to the remaining home systems very soon. Back in the Sony camp, and a new massive release from Capcom will make its debut on the PlayStation this year. Resident Evil takes cues from Alone in the Dark with an emphasis less on action and more on inventory management and survival. The game is based on Sweet Home, a Famicom exclusive where the players solve puzzles to navigate through a haunted mansion. This new game adds more of a biohazard twist and forces players to uncover the mystery of what happened to the Bravo team on the military organization STARS. Developers are clearly hoping this is becoming a franchise, and it will be ported to the other major systems soon. If you're looking for a little more action, the PC is your best bet right now. Duke Nukem, formerly Apogee's side-scroller, has made the transition to first-person shooter, competing with the aging Doom and the brand new Quake. Duke, an overly macho hero in the vein of Clint Eastwood or Arnold Schwarzenegger, must single-handedly defend Earth from an alien invasion. Weapons he has at his disposal include pipe bombs, rocket launchers, and the mighty Kut. The game is already being very well received, and a sequel is expected sometime in 1998. If you're looking for something a little more fantasy-based on your PC, look no further than Blizzard Entertainment, who've just come out with a new high fantasy game. You, as either a rogue, warrior, or sorcerer, must destroy the Lord of Chaos himself. The game is set in Sanctuary, the realm between heaven and hell, and puts players against a Satan allegory named Diablo. Finally, on the handheld scene, 2 brand new cartridges have appeared in Japan for the Game Boy. Pokémon comes from the director's childhood obsession with catching and observing insects. The franchise will not only include these 2 very similar games, but also an anime, manga, movies, and of course, more sequels to catch more monsters. I'm Jimmy the Geek in 1996.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, we clamber aboard the E3 hype train with the first of our 2-part special on the history of the world's largest gaming event. Expect all the highlights of nearly 2 decades worth of shows, plus Jimmy's very special look at the things that went wrong over the years. In the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.